First of all, before I say anything, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of y'all talking to me. I don't want to hear any hate, any sort of verbal violence or criticism. I don't want to deal with that right now. So yeah, I am very much aware that all the lives I've been doing so far up to this point have just been just library, I guess, library and studying. But today, fear no more because I am here to study for my my anatomy exam. And don't even ask how my mental state is doing right now. I don't even have time to assess that. I only have time to assess whatever's going on right here in my notebook. So, basically, I have an anatomy exam that's at 12:30, and I only have about 30 minutes to cram and study for it. So yeah, join me on this. Yeah, I've been so freaking stressed lately because I had like a chem exam last week, and then after that I started missing so many assignments, and then I started getting depressed because I was like, I don't ever miss so many assignments. But I'm getting back on track, starting with this right here. Right now, let's go. Okay, so AMP Unit 1, we're just gonna be reviewing 1 through 4 right now. So we got some uh see, all of these things I kind of already know. Isotopes are different atoms of the same element. Radioisotopes are unstable because they contain excess neutrons and lose nuclear components in form of high energy radiation. Whatever. Okay, so physical half-life is time for 50% of the radioisotope to become stable, and then the biological half-life is time for 50% of the radioactive material to become eliminated from body. Okay, so ionic molecular compounds. Same. No, not same thing, but I already know what they are. I need to stop. I cannot have people see me jam out on a study session. Okay, IMFs. I'm done. So hydrogen bond is not actually a bond; it's just an attraction, a really strong one between the polar hydrogen and a partially negative atom, which is oftentimes oxygen. That's that. And then we got like ionic and whatever, LBN, whatever. This is all very boring. I think I can get through this in 30 minutes. Easy. Water is a universal solvent. Electrolytes conduct current. I love this remix. It's really good. Oh, so boring. This is all things that I already know from chemistry. Okay, I guess something you should know is the human body pH is 7.35 to 7.45. And then suspensions they have like a material layer material layer larger than 1 nanometer mixed with water. So example would be blood cells and plasma and sand and water. So these don't usually are mixed unless they're in motion. And the solution is cloudy and opaque. It's not a solution, it's a suspension, sorry. Then a colloid has smaller particles in suspension, so this would be kind of like the fluid and plasma or like cell cytosol. It remains mixed, but it scatters light for sure. And then a solution is a homogeneous mixture smaller than 1 nanometer. So sugar or salt water, they dissolve in water and doesn't settle, doesn't scatter light. So it looks like a normal, just like it's either like a straight up opaque or like not opaque, but I mean like it's straight up like single color, and it looks just like kind of like water basically. But so yeah, solution is kind of like water-ish. Colloid is like you can kind of see that there's something in there, and then a suspension is straight up like particle water. And then emulsion is a water mixed with a non-polar liquid substance like oil and vinegar salad dressing or breast milk, and it doesn't mix unless you shake it. Okay, well, we're done with unit 1, just like that. 5 minutes or 6 minutes. I don't know why I look like that. My forehead is huge. If I do this one, my forehead look bigger or smaller. What about this? You can't see my forehead. It's better if you do it like this. Anyways. Hippocrates. Everything. Just Hippocrates. On unit 2. Oh, here we go. We got gross or macroscopic anatomy, which includes regional, systemic, surface, deep, and comparative. Microscopic anatomy is cytology and histology. Bilateral is two-sided. Ipsilateral is located on the same side of the body. Contralateral is on opposite side of the body. Anterior, posterior, medial, lateral, like when you move outside of the medial line. And then this is like proximal, distal. So it's closer to the point of attachment. So like my hand. So this is the attachment, right? So this would be proximal, distal. So if we're talking about the metacarpal or whatever, the phalanges, these are like the these are the carpal phalanges. So these are like proximal and these are all distal because they're closer to the connection of the body. Yep. Superficial is towards like the body surface, so I would say like the skin. And then deep is like if I were to go into like stab myself. So we have the axioskeleton, which is like the head, the trunk, and the neck, and then the appendicular skeleton would be like your arms. Includes collarbone for sure, like the clavicle, and then your lower limbs. Yeah. Oh, we got some cavities going on over here. Okay, so I don't have any cavities, but apparently in anatomy I do. So I'm about to find out. I'm gonna skip this song. How about I play some really hard dubstep? There you go. Block out my roommate. Anyways, we got our dorsal cavity, which is posterior and completely encased in bone, which is kind of like back here. Our ventral cavity, which is anterior, larger than posterior cavity, does not completely encase organs in bone. Includes the superior thoracic cavity and inferior abdominal. Anyways, inferior abdominal pelvic cavity. So there's those cavities for you. So the ventral cavity is lined with two layers of serous membranes, the parietal and the visceral layer. So the parietal lines the internal surface, and then the visceral. No, I don't know what that means. I think parietal. Oh, it lines the internal of the body wall. Okay, this is kind of confusing. So the parietal layer, it says it lines the internal surface of the body wall, and the visceral layer covers the external surface of a region. So what you would assume is the parietal is on the outside and the visceral is on the inside. But since it says internal for parietal and external for visceral, it sounds kind of confusing. But it actually kind of isn't confusing. So the body wall is kind of like your skin-ish. Let's just pretend your body wall is your skin, right? And this is not like real or anything, but just think about it. So the parietal layer would be touching your skin. Pretend there's like a whole there's like a glove around your bone on the inside, like your finger bone. And so the parietal layer of the glove would be on the outside touching your body wall. So it'll line the internal surface of the body wall. I am just kidding. You have a latex layer on your skin on the inside, so that would be lining the internal surface of that body wall. And then the visceral layer covers the external surface of the organ, so that would be the glove that's covering your bone. So yeah, it is actually on the inside, and the parietal is on the outside, but it's saying that like it lines the internal surface of the body wall, which is on the external side. If that makes sense, yeah. Anyways, we got the serous cavity, not serious. Serous fluid, serosa, which is the double-layered membrane, lines walls of ventral body cavity and intersurface organs. Pleurisy perionitis is the roughening of the pleurae, and peritoneum causes organs to stick together and drag across one another. That's kind of gross. Negative feedback is when a variable fluctuates around a set point, and the action is in opposite direction of the stimulus. So, for example, if it's cold outside, I'm gonna get hot, and if it's hot outside, the body's gonna naturally want to cool down. So that's a negative feedback. Positive feedback would be it's like less fluent or not no fluent, sorry, less frequent, but the stimulus is reinforced until climax. So, for example, like a sexual climax or like breastfeeding, blood clotting, labor. So it'll like go up like this. Like, so this is the climax, right? So this is the drop of the song. But once it's done, it'll go back down. Like it doesn't get any better than that, you know? It's a hard song, I must admit. It does get better. Anyways, but it's kind of like that. Whereas homeostasis is kind of like, I guess, house music. It's like it tries to kind of keep it like kind of like the same thing. Normal ranges for body is body temperature 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Blood pressure would be 90 over 60, between 90 over 60 and 120 over 80. And then the blood glucose is 80 to 100 mgdo. mgdo. So this is actually just this is like only for 97% of healthy individuals, meaning like 3% of perfectly healthy individuals don't have these regular ranges because obviously everybody's body is different and you can't just make a whole. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm gonna get quizzed on this, so let's talk about the quads and the regions. Anyways, don't stand up for this one. So, I'm gonna start explaining to you the regions. So we got our umbilical, our lumbar, our hypochondriac, and our epigastric, and then our iliac, and our hypogastric. Okay, so basically, where our vertebrae is at, cervical on our neck. Then this is our thoracic because it's in the thorax, and then down here, 1 through 5 is L1 through 5, so that would be the lumbar region, right? So I would just assume our below our umbilical, no, not below, sorry, right next to our umbilical is our lumbar region. So if you were to smack yourself in the middle of your stomach on the belly button, that would be your umbilical region. Left lumbar, right lumbar. If you were to go beneath that, that's your hip bone. Yeah. You didn't know that? That's your hip bone. So this is kind of like where all your gastric system is, but it's your umbilical region. So if you go below that, that's your hypogastric. And then since these are your hips, this would be the right iliac, left iliac, because your hip bone is that. Anyways, hypo. Sorry. This if you move up here above the umbilical, this is the epigastric region. And this is the right hypochondriac, left hypochondriac. I probably will have a better way of explaining it later on, but I don't know what chondriac means. So we're just going to say that that's the right hypochondriac, left hypochondriac, epigastric, umbilical, right lumbar, left lumbar, hypogastric, sorry, and then right iliac, left iliac. Anyways, you got your quads, right upper quad, left upper quad, right lower quad, left lower quad. And I don't know if I'm supposed to know if the organs, like what organs are in what quadrant, but if there is that on the test, I am going to fail because I'm not going to go over that right now. Okay, on to unit 3. We'll talk about the phospholipid bilayer, the fluid mosaic model. We got integral proteins, which are embedded in the bilayer, peripheral proteins that are on the outside. The bilayer has interstitial fluid on the outside and the cytosol on the inside of the cell. There's filaments and stuff. I am kind of hungry. I need to eat. Anyways, the membrane lipids, which include 98% of like the molecule, includes phospholipids, cholesterol, like glycolipids, and the glycocalyx. And the glycocalyx is kind of like a unique fuzzy coat external to the membrane, and they're kind of like parts of glycoproteins. It helps with the protection, adhesion, and immunity. Sorry. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, just like phospholipids, cholesterol, glycolipids, and the glycocalyx. That's the 4 membrane lipids. And then we're going to talk about membrane proteins. So there's, of course, there's transmembrane peripheral proteins. I already talked about that. There's transport proteins that help like regulate like movement across like in and out of the membrane. So the channels, pumps, and carriers. Cell surface receptors. These bind ligands. For example, like bind neurotransmitters to muscle cell for contraction. So kind of help with that. And then identity markers. This communicates to other cells that they're part of the body. So this is basically how the body distinguishes like healthy cells from like cells that aren't supposed to be there. So it's kind of like their green card. Oh, not the green card. Their identification. Their citizenship. Anyways, enzymes. These may be attached to internal or external surface of the cell and they catalyze chemical reactions. And the anchoring sites, these are secure cytoskeleton to plasma membrane. So just that. And then the cell adhesion proteins help perform in cell attachments. So yeah. So I'm going to show you how these look like. I already drew them. Look how pretty I drew them. So this is an example of a receptor. So this is a chemical messenger that receives that. This is an enzyme. What's special about this structure is it has nothing on it. It's just a little circle. It's a little blob. So yeah, that's an enzyme. And this is an ion channel, which is a transport protein. So it'll help the ions go inside. And this is a gated ion channel, which is like a little more strict. It's kind of like Harvard. So this is like Auburn. This like Harvard. Anyways, this is a cell ID marker. So it kind of looks like a little bean with like like the radish like headband. Yeah, that's you right there. This is a cell adhesion molecule. So it binds to the cell adhesion molecule of another cell. So that's what it looks like. Okay. Almost to unit 4, guys. What time is it? 12? Okay. Not too bad. I have 18 minutes. I like this song. It's a good song. Anyways. Special structures. We got microvilli, which is like extension of the membrane. It increases surface area. They have a brush border, which means it's like a little milking action of actin filament. So they shorten and push all contents into cell. So yeah, I don't know what that means, but I mean I think it speaks for itself, so you don't really have to like know what it means. Bro, I have a pharmacy meeting today. This will be fun. I'm hungry. If I get distracted like this one more time, I swear. Cilia are hair-like processes actually. Um, a 9+2 array of microtubules, so it's basically 9 pairs that form the basal body and anchors the cilia. And then the flagella, which is just like a tail. So yeah, great. Cystic fibrosis, we can talk about that. That's a hereditary disease causing abnormal chloride pumps fail to create an adequate saline layer as well as cell surface, or on the cell surface, sorry. Um, okay. And we're gonna talk about some permeability stuff. So of course the membrane is selective, like maybe. So okay, basically diffusion is kind of like the natural way of doing things. So the rate depends on the size and weight, temperature, concentration gradient, charge, hydrostatic pressure, membrane permeability, surface area, and thickness. So basically, high concentration moves to low concentration. Osmosis is by aquaporins, so you don't need aquaporins for that. So these channel proteins are specialized for passage of water and increases osmosis rate. So this has mostly to do with like water. So the water will move to like from a low concentration to a high concentration naturally, or like not of water, but like concentration of solute, I think. And then filtration is partially driven by hydrostatic pressure. So, for example, nutrients through blood capillary gaps. So filtration is kind of like what we did with the orange peels. It's like driven. Like you need to have a lot of pressure, like hydrostatic pressure, to draw out like the specific nutrient or like chemicals that you need. And then facilitated diffusion. It comes mediated. Huh? Okay, I don't know. I can't even read my own handwriting. Um, Okay, but anyways, it's like basically the cell helps transport it down the radiation concentration gradient, which does not require adenosine triphosphate. And the vesicular transport. Oh no, sorry. What am I even doing? Active transport. So the other ones that I've been talking about earlier, these were passive transport. This is active transport from now on. So this is a carrier mediated transport up or against or up and against the concentration gradient. So ATP is used for this one. Um, so to talk about the carriers, uniport means one solute, symport means two, and that they co-transport in the same direction. And antiport is three in different directions. And this is called counter transport as well. So we got two types of vesicular transport. We got endocytosis and exocytosis. So endocytosis is basically when the cell like forms a vesicle enclosing the materials and brings the stuff in. And then exocytosis is when the vesicle that was made, it fuses with the membrane and then it like pops out everything else over there on the other side. There's three paths of endocytosis. There's phagocytosis. Phagocytosis when like it engulfs, and then pinocytosis when it brings solutes to the cell bulk, and receptor-mediated endocytosis, which is molecular binding to the receptors. Okay. We're gonna talk a little bit about sodium, potassium, ATPase. Um, this is also active transport. So each cycle exchanges one ATP for three sodium ions. Oh no. It requires one ATP, and the exchange is three sodium ions for two potassium ions. It keeps the potassium on the inside of the cell higher and lower. Oh no, sorry. And then the sodium lower in the cell than in the extracellular fluid. So this is necessary because sodium and potassium keep leaking. So the main goal, okay, so like the cell swells, right? Because it's like naturally doing that. Um, so the cell swells, and then the NAK pump decreases the ion concentration, and this decreases osmolarity and cell swelling, and it keeps the inside more negative and the outside more positive. So what this means is that like it tries to keep potassium on the inside a lot higher, and then the sodium on the outside a lot lower, and the sodium outside a lot higher, and the potassium on the outside a lot lower. This is necessary for nerve and muscle function and heat production. I don't want to talk about this. It's okay. We're gonna figure it out. So the RMP is, it's not too bad. So this is kind of has something to do with the again, like I said, the sodium potassium ATPase. Like, okay, so it has, huh? Okay, so the membrane potential is the potential energy of charge difference, and the RMP is the potential when the cell is at rest. So resting, resting membrane potential. Sorry. Please stop. I'm not in the mood for that. I'm gonna have to mute you. Okay. Oh my god. My favorite LAM song. There's two conditions for RMP. You gotta have unequal distribution of ions across the membrane. So, kind of the same thing. More potassium in the cytoplasm and more sodium in the interstitial fluid. And then the second one is you have to have unequal relative amounts of positive or negative charges. So, again, more positive outside the cell. So the goal of everything is to keep the inside of the cell a lot more negative than the outside. So the role of potassium is actually the most important. So it moves down the steep grad through leak channels to the interstitial fluid, while negatively charged proteins remain inside the cell. And then the the sodium diffuses into cells simultaneous to the potassium loss down concentration gradient, causing cytosol to be more positive. To maintain RMP, the NAK pumps are very significant, and it maintains the gradients. So, like, of course, trying to pump the sodium out and then the potassium in. So this would be like opposite directions or whatnot. So it's really important to have that happen. Okay, last section. I have 8 minutes. This is really long. Can I order food before I... Let's get chicken salad. There's no line. I can't do that. I can't do that. Anyways, let's try to go super quick. So there's 4 primary tissue types: epithelial, skeletal, muscle, and connective. 3 primary germ layers: ectoderm, which is the outside, mesoderm, and then endoderm. Differentiation in tissue development is just specialization into mature tissue types. Metaplasia is the changing of one type of mature tissue into another. The preparation of specimens, you need to fix them with formalin so it prevents decay. Cut tissue into one or two cell thick sections, and then color with a stain. Tissue sections, a longitudinal section is like cross or transverse section is like this. Oblique is like that. Okay, epithelial tissue. We got multiple types. We got simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, pseudostratified, stratified cuboidal, stratified columnar, keratinized, stratified, non-keratinized, stratified squamous, and transitional. So I think I kind of already know what everything looks like. Okay, so the simple squamous is like it helps with diffusion and transport. Simple cuboidal helps absorb and secrete. The simple columnar is I don't know, absorbs and secrete, I guess, mucus production. Pseudostratified, it secretes and moves mucus. Okay, most of these are just like completely secreting and moving. Except for the simple squamous, it helps with diffusion. Stratified cuboidal secretes sweat, sperm, ovarian hormone. So stratified cuboidal is like sweat stuff. Stratified columnar, it protects and secretes urinary. Huh? I couldn't tell you. Keratinized stratified is the dead cell layer of the stratified, and it has dead cell layers, flat, scaly. It serves as protection, so the palms and soles of your body are not severely, heavily keratinized. I wouldn't call that severely, but the non-keratinized is kind of like the inside of that. All living cells resist abrasion, pathogen penetration. So this is on your tongue, oral mucosa, esophagus, and your vagina, if you have one. Transitional is a multi-layered surface cell that is round, turns round. No, from round to flat when stretched. So this would be your cells in your ureter and bladder. So it helps, like, you can like expand and stretch and stuff. Oh, also something to note: basement membrane is the kind of thing between the epithelium and connective tissue that anchors the epithelium. So the epithelium will be on the outside of the connective tissue usually. Oh my gosh, for 4 minutes. Okay, exocrine glands, sweat, mammary, tear glands. It's like on the outside. Endocrine glands, they are thyroid, adrenal, pituitary. So yeah, on the outside. Serous glands produce thin, watery secretions of sweat, milk, tears, digestive juices, mucus. It's like mucus. Mixed glands have both types. Cytogenic glands secretes whole. I was gonna say egg and sperm cells, whole cells. American or eccrine glands are tear, sweat. I thought we already talked about sweat and tears. I guess American glands are serous glands then. Okay, great. Apocrine glands are axillary sweat, mammary, cerumen. Holocrine glands. Oh, the eccrine glands excrete by exocytosis. Anyways, holocrine glands are scalp and eyelid sweat. They accumulate and then the entire cell disintegrates. Okay, types of connective tissue. We got fibrous, supportive, and fluid. So the fibrous, we got areolar, and then we got reticular. The areolar is under the epithelium between muscles. Reticular is in the lymphatic organs. Adipose, which is fat, it helps with energy storage. Dense regular, this is for tendons and ligaments. Dense irregular is for the deeper layer of skin in and around organs. And the elastic CT, which is also dense, is able to stretch and recoil. This is in arteries, trachea, and vocal cords. Okay, hyaline. Okay, we'll move on to supportive. These are all cartilages and bone. So we got hyaline, which is usually covered by perichondria. It's in the cartilage and trachea. So elastic cartilage is usually covered by perichondrium, and then it is in the ear and epiglottis. The fibrocartilage does not have a pericardium, but it's in the intervertebral disc, and yeah. Okay, so we move on to spongy bone and compact bone. So spongy bone has like holes and stuff. It looks like cheese or something. Not cheese, but it has holes. So it's filled with bone marrow. And then compact bone is arranged in osteons. Okay, fluid. There's only blood. We got erythrocytes, leukocytes, and platelets. Okay. Oh my gosh, how many pages do we have? Oh my gosh, we have like literally like 2 whole pages. Okay, so connective tissue components. We got fibroblasts, adipocytes, macrophages, mesenchymal cells, leukocytes, and mast cells. Okay, cool. Connective tissues. You got the components. There's collagen fibers, the most abundant and the most tough, flexible. Reticular fibers are thin collagen fibers coated with glycoprotein, and the elastic fibers are even thinner than that, I think. And then they're branching in the middle of elastin. Cool. Okay, so the connective tissue components that are ground substance that are not fibers. We got glycosaminoglycans, which is like GAG. It's a long polysaccharide. It's a water regulator and has electrolytic balance. So chondroitin sulfate is the most important GAG. It's responsible for cartilage stiffness. And then hyaluronic acid is viscous and slippery and is a lubricant for joints. Another thing in the ground substance is proteoglycans. It's protein plus GAG shaped like a test tube brush. It forms colloid and holds tissue together. Another component of the ground substance is adhesive glycoproteins. They bind tissue components together. Okay. I guess something to say is like for loose CT, there's gel-like ground substance, and then for dense CT, the fibers fill spaces in between cells. Okay, we're gonna move on to nervous tissue because I have no time, bro. Okay, so the neuroglia or glial cells, they protect and assist neurons. They're like tiny little neuron things. Okay, so here's our little diagram. Okay, so this is the entire like our entire like thing, like our nerve cell. Anyways, the neurosoma houses the nucleus. So this is the neurosoma is the cell body. So this is the entire thing that I did in red right here. The dendrites are these branching thingies. The glial cells are like kind of like the cells that are outside peripherally. The axon is the main like little thing. It sends outgoing signals to other cells. So it's the main like And then the dendrites, they receive signals. So it's like a lot of input and then one output, basically. All right, muscular tissue. It creates movement. So there's three types of muscular tissue: skeletal, cardiac, and smooth. The two voluntary. Oh no. The voluntary. The two. Okay, girl, chill out. The two striated ones are skeletal and cardiac. And the only voluntary, I believe, is skeletal. And then the other two are involuntary. Anyways, so skeletal, most attached to bone except for the tongue. They're voluntary, and they look like this. I think there's like A and then I, little strands. Okay, and then cardiac is kind of like different. Like looks like that. Anyways, and then smooth looks like that. Oh, we gotta talk about cell junctions because I just got this. Okay, so cell junctions, they resist stress and allow communications. We got three types of junctions. We got tight junction, which is a I'm like late. We got a tight junction, which is a fusion of plasma membrane. Um, Let me get ready while I talk to you. So the tight junction, is the fusion of plasma membrane. So it kind of looks like a little zipper because there's like a zone that's in between like each junction. And so it seals off the intercellular space. So it kind of looks like either like an uncrustable or like a zipper. Desosome is also called adhesion junction. So this is a patch that holds cells together. So it's like a whole freaking thing, like a little button, but like not a button, like a snap basically. And then a gap junction is made of six transmembrane proteins arranged like orange segments. It basically looks like it looks like an orange segment, and it allows things to pass through each segment, not each segment but each pore, so you can like have that happen, like the communication. Anyways, we're talking about membranes. I thought we already talked about this, but whatever. um so we got a cutaneous, which is like the skin, and then we got our serous, which is it's heart body cavities like the pericardium, peritoneum, and pleura. And then our mucous membranes, it is digestive, respiratory, urinary, and reproductive tracts. And these line passages that open to external environment, so like your body cavities, it's all like there. Synovial membrane is for joint cavities, and then meninges is the central nervous system, and then we also have the periosteum and then perichondrium. Okay, that's literally it. Like I have no more. So yeah, wish me luck. I'm like kind of late. Well, not really, but I want to eat, and so I'd have to eat in like 5 minutes. But yeah, wish me luck on my anatomy exam. Bye.